Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm chatting with Brad Kitchen from ESGOLD. In today's interview, we get into ESGOLD's Montauban project, which is a fully permitted site in Quebec, where they are advancing towards near-term production through a strategic pilot plant targeting gold and silver pours by Q3 of this year. The company plans to use the cash flow generated from the pilot plant to pursue district-scale exploration and find other closed mines that might make sense to run a similar playbook with. All right, everybody, enjoy the interview. Brad, thanks for joining us.
Steve, thanks for having me.
It's been a wild week in the gold market. We hit $3,500. It was like basically a $250 couple of days. It's come back here as word is that Trump is starting to back off on his rhetoric about Jerome Powell, and more importantly, everything that's happening in this trade war with China. But when you look at how far gold has come over the last 3 months, it still hasn't given back most of that. It looks like there's still going to obviously be some damage from what Trump's done with the world. So I'm curious what's going through your head right now when you think about gold and why you're still bullish on it.
I'm very bullish on gold and silver, just in the fact that, well, with silver especially, you're going to have that resource to help with all the electric vehicles, all the solar panels. But with gold itself, it still is that safe base. People still look at it as something that they can see tangible value. You can hold it, you can buy the bars, you can trade it. And it is just an indication of what people's investment concerns are or how their economic issues may be. We're lucky at ES Gold in that our break even on our production is when gold hits $700 an ounce. So the fact that we're trading at 3,500 an ounce just shows that there's such a huge income source for the company. We're in really good shape. So there is a little bit of concern about the price going down again, but with us, it would have to go down to $700 before we were even in a break even.
Okay, so you kind of got into ES Gold there, so let's get right into it. ES Gold is this sort of new junior gold company that I think a lot of people haven't quite heard of. Just to sort of set the stage for our audience, why don't you give us a high-level overview of the company?
Sure, Steve. We're different than any other junior resource company on the TSX, on the CSE out there. We're different in that we're going into production first and then doing exploration. So we have 1 million tons of tailings, and we have a PEA. We know what the resource is there. We are 6 months away from going into production. We're starting construction on April 28th. So our first circuit will be in place. Our first pilot circuit will be in place. We'll be able to do 500 tons a day, going up to 1,000 tons. So that means just from the tailings alone, we'll be in production for about 3.5 years. What we're also doing with that big tailings, it's toxic now. We're taking out the toxins. And in addition, we're creating about 30 or 40 jobs in the community. So it's very different than your typical exploration company, which goes out, drills some holes, gets some assays, raises some money so they can drill some holes, get some assays, raise some money. We're going to be funding not only our production and operations, but we're going to be funding our exploration. And Montauban itself was a mine for 80 years. And they took out about $1.2 billion worth of minerals over the years, but there's never been a model of the site. And that's what we're starting to do. In fact, we've got some really cool technology that we're using, and it's coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's called ambient noise tomography. And what this process will do is give us a good understanding of how the resource is on the property to a depth of about 1.2 kilometers. That's a 3D model over 10,000 square meters. Sorry, I'm rambling on a little bit, but that's why we're a different beast than everyone else. We've also had the expertise where we've taken a project called the Windfall Lake. I took that from care and maintenance to bankable feasibility. Then Osisco, Ned Goodman took it over and just sold the project for $1.6 billion. So we know what we're doing when it comes to exploration. But the cool thing is we're going to have the money internally to go out and do whatever we want. We won't have to go to the market again.
So you mentioned there's construction at, I believe it's pronounced Montauban. What can you Mo- Montauban? What can you tell
Yeah.
us there? What does that look like?
Okay, so we've got a 16,000 square foot mill building already. We have all the infrastructure, the roads, Quebec Hydro. Most important thing is we're also fully permitted. So we're fully permitted to do 300 days a year at 1,000 tons a day. We have about 40% of the equipment, and the equipment that we have is that really big stuff. It's the ball crushers, it's the Humphrey spirals. There's actually three sources of income from Montauban itself. But um, just being able to have that, and the engineering's done, the construction team has been signed up. They are literally starting on the 28th of April. So our three sources of income come from mica, which is a byproduct of the processing that's gone on in the plant before. What we do is we spin that out, and currently and it's about 4% of the tailings are mica, and that mica is currently selling at about 520 US a ton. There's a million tons of ore in the tailings. Then what we do is we recrush those old tailings. We process them using Merrill-Crowe and extract the gold and silver from that.
So once you guys get to production here, what does that ramp up look like?
Well, it will, as I mentioned, we'll probably start with we will start with one circuit, and that one circuit will start for about 300 tons a day, and that will continue on for about 4 or 5 months. We'll ramp up to 500 tons. And again, this is part of the process. It's also part of the permitting process. This is considered a pilot plant. So we will see to make sure that we're extracting all the toxins, making sure that we'll be able to get the gold and the silver. But that income will bring in about $30 million in our first year.
From a pilot plant?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's literally from the dirt or the previously processed tailings that are just sitting on the ground. So we don't have any of the mining costs that you're usually associated with. We do have some grinding costs, but we don't have concentrator costs. And it's a very, very straightforward process.
Is the facility going to be able to process ore, or is this just for tailings?
Initially, it's just for tailings, but it'll be very simple to add a crusher. And from that crusher, we can use the same facility that's there. So we'll be able to do 1,000 tons a day of ore.
So you recently just joined the team as president. Why did you choose to step on and attach your name to it?
Well, Paul Massantuono, the CEO, has been working on the project for about 10 to 14 years, and he's the one who's done all the heavy lifting. He has the permits, and that permitting process is something that you can't discount lately. It's something that takes years and years, and he's been doing all the work on that. Um, Paul asked me, I was actually part of the company a while ago, but I left for about 2 years, and Paul asked me to come back and said, look, we've got a very strong capital structure. Company did a 10-for-1 rollback. Currently, we've got about 60% of the shares are held with friends, family, and business associates. 10% with management. 5% is with a couple of investors. And then we've got about a 20%, 25% public float. So it's fairly tight. And if you look at our market in the last little while, we talked briefly about this before we came on, Steve. So when I came on in July, we had market cap of about $3 million. We were trading about 5,000 shares, maybe every day, every other day. Well, currently we're almost at 40 million market cap. We now trade about 200 to 300,000 shares a day. We have our OTC QB listing. We have an extremely good marketing plan that ties directly to our operations so that we're very transparent on what we're doing and trying to keep our shareholders up to date. And I think that's the key. And that's where you've seen us go, well, literally 10 times our market cap in just a short period of about 8 months. So to answer your question specifically, I came on at the right time. All the heavy lifting was done. All I had to do was come in and help focus with Paul on what we were doing as far as operations, making sure that we were going to get into construction, make sure that we were going to get into production. And then from there, we're going to do our exploration of the property. And we feel we've had some evidence. Some of our geologists are the best in Quebec. They feel very strongly there's a huge deposit there, but we don't know yet. And I'm a civil engineer by education. And my joke is I'd never walk across any bridge I built. But what civil engineers do is they lay a really solid foundation, whether you're building a bungalow or if you're building a skyscraper. So what we have to do at Montauban is build that foundation. So once we're into production, they're going to do exploration, and that exploration is going to give us a very strong model on how the resource is at Montauban. So that will be our foundation. We're going to be doing that over the next year, 18 months.
So let's say that you and I sit down in 12 months and I'm a shareholder, which I am, and we want to evaluate how the last 12 months went. What's the scorecard? What should I look for the company to be executing over the next 12 months?
Okay, so yeah, I love these type of conversations because if we did this 8 months ago, I think we'd be quite happy where we are right now. And at the same time, you always want to push fast. So where we want to be is we're starting construction of the circuit, the pilot circuit now. We hope to have that completed in 6 months. We have enough cash in the till to start the construction, plus our G&A, plus our marketing for the next 18 months. Not to complete the construction, but at least to get things started. We hope to be in production to at least 300 tons a day, hoping to get to 500 tons. So we may be at 500 tons. We will have completed the initial model of the resource at Montauban. We won't necessarily have a revised underground resource by that time, but we'll start our drilling. There is some historic 43-101s that show extremely high grade gold close to surface. We're going to be exploiting that. We will probably have 3 or 4 other projects under our umbrella. There are about 270 abandoned mines in Quebec alone, of which we think we could help out on about 60. We've identified 3 or 4 that we think we should do what we can to get those quite quickly. So from an operations perspective, we want to be into revenue. We want to start our exploration, and we want to look at other projects in Quebec and also outside Quebec.
All right, well, Brad, thanks very much for hopping on here today. I think this is going to give our audience a little bit of a glimpse into ES Gold, and let's hop on here in a few months and do this again and take a look at how things are going.
Well, Steve, I'd love to, and thanks very much for having me on.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this interview, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Guys, also let me know what you think in the comments section. Thanks for watching, everyone.